Recording in progress. All right, I'm gonna mute everybody real quick. All right, but you should be able to take yourself off of mute. Let me make sure that security. Yeah, you can. All right. All right, so let's go to another tab real quick. All right, so I wanted to wait and just kind of see, actually best to do that, right? Wait and just kind of see like how the market was going to open. I had a feeling bullishness, right? But um, I wanted to see how the market was going to open. I just wanted to see how the market was going to digest the news, right? With that being said, still looking kind of bullish to me. This is futures that we're looking at for those that maybe don't know. Still looking bullish to me, even with why I'm doing that. That could be just a retracement because of the fair value gap that we have here, right? So all we're doing is on the daily, just trading back into the fair value gap. Probably looks like a consequent encroachment or possibly a full gap fill before we, bounce back up. But just looking at bigger picture, right? Where, we TTO'd back to the upside, right? Clearing the highs over there on the daily. Same thing on ES, excuse me. ES over here. We did clear the highs, but we haven't displaced above just yet. As you can see, we just need to displace above this high over here. If not, we might see, pullback. So I would just pay attention to what's happening for the week. See if we can clear. We did on NQ. Haven't quite done it on YM just yet, the Dow just yet. Oh, shit, come on now. Just yet. And then also we did clear, but we haven't displaced above it, right? We haven't closed. Obviously, week is not done yet, first day of the week. So very well we could do this, right? Even with the pullback here, again, we can pull back into this fair value gap and possibly bounce. If not, like I said, we'll look on a smaller time frame, see if there's a fair value gap, which we're currently in, so we could trade into that and then continue pushing. So far, we haven't broken structure to the downside. So for right now, market structure is to the bullish side. Now that leads me into the next thing I was going to say. Today, Monday happened, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at, we'll just look at SPY, for example. All right. So one of the things I wanted to talk about strat related is called the flip, right? First day of the week, right? It's first hour as well too. Essentially, the flip refers to the very next candle, but we pay attention to ideally the first and the second candle, the flip of the first candle going into the second candle, usually on the hourly. I also look at it on the daily as well too. Hence the phrase, what do they call it? Turnaround Tuesdays. So usually, what tends to happen is a negation. The next candle tries to negate what the first candle did. So Monday, oh, I'm looking at the month. Whoa, my bad, y'all. Right. So Monday, we closed as a shooter, right? So the next candle, the flip, if you will, on the daily, most of the time is going to try to negate that, right? So if we were green today, then the next candle might try to negate that and either pull back by staying inside, or you might actually catch a reversal back to the downside. As a matter of fact, SPY did end up shooter. I think we probably do get a pullback tomorrow, probably like a nice sort of run up and then pull back tomorrow. Maybe to come back and test this gap here, right? If not, then it's going to test this low down here at 527. But we'll see, because that brings us all the way back down to 520. And actually, that would be kind of healthy, right? Because we got up to like 530 and change. So yeah, that would be healthy, a nice little pullback. And just so happens the halfway point of the gap fill is also previous high over here. So good bet that, let's change that because that is going to fuck with me. Where's inflection point? There you go. So that could come back and pull into this. But the point of the strat is, the point that I'm trying to make is the very first candle, first day of the week, that first candle that comes through, you look for the next candle to try to negate that, right? That's the flip, right? So you see all the activity there, then you get the next candle, and then on the hourly, the same thing. Um, if we look on today, where did we open? 10:30. So no, 10:30, right? 9:30, 10:30, right? So first candle happens, second candle happens, but we didn't get the actual flip. Well, we got the flip because the second candle happened, but we didn't get the negation until the third candle, right? But usually, like I said, they try to negate what happens on that first candle. So that's why you get that. That's where you get that flip. So you got to look out for that with the flip when it comes to the hour or also the daily. You got to look out for a price to try to negate what it did in that first hour. That's the reason why sometimes you may see like a good run up or even a pullback, right? A good pullback in that first hour. And then what happens? The very next candle tries to negate that. And then that's the start of your reversal, right? So if you, something to look out for when you, if you do get a flip, let's say at the top of a range, right? Again, the flip technically is any one candle to the next, but ideally we look at again the first candle of the day on the daily, and then also the first candle on the daily of the week, and then also the first hour, the first trading hour of the day. But either way, we still got that flip from the second to the third hour, right? Where the candle tried to negate exactly what happened. And again, you can look around, you can look for things like that, at the top or the bottom of the range, even though this does look a little, let's see, this one's actually, yeah, this one's a little bit higher, just a couple cents higher, but it still made a higher point, and then you got that flip, right? You got the flip making that higher point, and then it ends up being a three. So that's something to pay attention to, and that's how I want to tie it. How I wanted to tie that into broadening formations. Again, the broadening formation is going to tell you the range, right? The top of the range, the bottom of the range, and then I'm just showing you little things that you can look for. Excuse me, little things that you can look for that may help for potential reversals to the upside, right? So we get this 2-2 flip over here as well too, right? Um, and you look for any type of actionable signals, or you can look for, in this case, it was an outside candle. So for the outside candles, the way I play them is I usually, all right, so let's slow it down. Let's see. It already does it so quickly. But either way, what I would have done, honestly, is the 50% retrace rule, right? So not always guaranteed when it comes to threes, but whenever you have a candle that goes, and I usually look for them again at the top or the bottom of the range. Whenever you have a candle that breaks the high, right, and then you see it starting to exhaust and come right back in, draw the 50% on the previous candle. If price breaks that 50, and then you could probably zoom in on a smaller time frame. So let's say on the 15, all right, we put it here, so it's from there to there, right? So once price here is where it happens. Once price closes below, right? Once price closes below that 50% or, triggers below it, whichever one you want to do. If you want it to trigger below, you can take it, or if you want to wait till it closes, the best thing would probably be to wait till it retests, like over here, if you want to draw that out, and then it rejects, and then you can continue going um, with the downside, if that makes sense. I want to make sure. Let me stop and yes, it is. So what I'm saying is not negating that. Where did you see the hammer and the shooter?
On the daily.
Got you, got you, got you, got you, got you. Right. So yeah, I'm not negating that. I think with the shooter setup, um, I mean, I'm ultimately still bullish, just keeping it a stack. But I think with the shooter setup in the double top, I wouldn't be surprised if, with the very least, we take out the low on the daily and maybe end up kind of like not necessarily hammer, but the same kind of exhaustion around the same area. I'm not ready. I'm just saying the possibility of it coming down to the gap fill. But honestly, the way, again, going back to the way futures were looking, I'm not sure we're gonna get. I'm not sold on the bearishness. I'm just sold on a possible retrace, and then a reversal back to the upside. To be honest with you, so I'm just saying where it can possibly drop down to. But yes, that is a sign of consolidation because the bodies are pretty much remaining in the same range of this shooter over here, really. Like we just come out a little bit on top over here, but I mean, essentially it's kind of in the same price range. So nothing to me when I look at this, nothing's really done. But you can't ignore a shooter either, right? And the fact that we kind of exhausted in the same exact spot. So, again, it would just be for me, probably a simple pullback. Maybe just go two down, but then again, exhausting, probably still making a higher low, to be honest with you. But I did want to talk about the flip, and the reason why the flip is important because you also want to know like kind of like what does that set up for the next candles, right? If you get the flip and let's say it goes a 2-2 reversal, now what does that set up for the next candles, right? Is that a 2-2 continuation? Is that a setup for an inside? What are we doing? Are we reversing here? Where exactly is it happening? This flip, is it happening at the top of the range or at the bottom of the range? So I want you to be aware of stuff like that, but then also keeping in mind the macro level as well too. Like, are you fighting full time frame continuity? Because I know a lot of us have a tendency to zoom in, right? So we're looking at the daily right now, and again, I'm seeing a shooter, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, we're about to drop tomorrow. This is a bullish shooter. One, two, full time frame continuity is still showing us that we are bullish. So even if I were to take, for me, old me would have taken this like, oh yeah, we're about to reverse. So as soon as it triggers, I'm taking it, only for it to just exhaust out, maybe around this area here where we opened on the previous candle, excuse me, where we opened, and then I'm sorry, lost train of thought. We could basically, from what I was saying, is we could basically catch the reversal, maybe exhaust around the open of the previous candle, and therefore just bounce off of that and continue going. But me just having that tunnel vision, only focusing on the daily, I would completely forget that on the weekly, we're bullish as well too. Monthly, same thing. The larger time frames, we're definitely still bullish, right? Clearly, no bearishness anywhere in there. Shit, we haven't even really begun to retrace. We just got a slight pullback into this fair value gap here. Shit, keep it as strat. My bad. But yeah, we just got the two down that exhausted, probably hit the 50% of this candle. And now we get the 2-2 reversals. So those are some things that I want you to be aware of with the strat. It's not just about focusing on what's happening on the smaller time frames. You have to keep into account what's happening on the larger time frames as well too. So I don't know what your checklist is, but you do need to keep that a part of your checklist. You have to ask yourself before you enter that trade, what are the other time frames doing? Even if we get that flip on the hourly, right, to the next candle, or was it that was the last day? So that's Friday, so Monday, right? So even if we do get that flip, um, oh my bad, I forgot to take this off. There we go. Yes, there you go. Even if we do get that flip, you still want to be aware of what if you're swinging, I'm talking about, and also possibly even day trading, you still want to be aware of what the rest of the day, excuse me, the time frames are doing. Now, for a scalper, yes, absolutely. You take this and you make a monster trade down in puts. But for somebody who's swing trading, I'm not necessarily thinking about entering puts when I have, excuse me, when I have the larger time frames, including the daily that's still bullish, right? The hourly is showing me a 2-1-2 down, right? This one's showing me a bearish hammer. But the larger time frames are still showing bullish. So I'm not ready to go ahead and say let's, take puts. And honestly, even by ICT standards, it's not time to take puts yet either. Market structure hasn't changed. All right. So just wanted to talk about that. This I was gonna use cost. I did a random like I did last time, just to kind of go over. This is the double bottom, so I'm really gonna take the broad information from there to there, just to go over broad informations and just it helps you to see levels of your support. But then also, more importantly, when you see your, swing lows or swing highs, if you're not good at drawing broadening formations, then I guess what I used to do as a cheat code is I used to mark out previous lows. If price action breaks through that, then actually let's rewind for a second. Shit, I did not mean to do that. My bad, y'all. I gotta find out where it went. There we go. Okay. This is what I meant to do. There we go. There we go. Okay. So let's rewind back to here. All right. So far we have, and let's just focus on this top part here. All right. So far we have a low, swing low, right? So price has bounced off of that. It's continued higher. Cool. Let's just keep playing it out for a second. Okay, stop. Right. So this is what I'm talking about with the cheat code. If that low gets broken, right, and candle closes, right, but either way, the low gets broken, then that's the new broadening formation, right? The only way I'm not going to draw that is if it turns out to be like a solid bar, right? Whether it's bullish or like if it's bullish at the top of a range or if it's bearish at the bottom of the range. If it's solid, I'm probably not going to draw the broadening formation because more than likely price is going to continue heading either down or up, right? But if I get some wicks, all right, I'm going to draw that out. And if I'm wrong, that's fine. Then I can always redraw the broadening formation. Let's see what happens next. All right, so we did make a lower low. And it continues to go, and that's fine. All right. So now we created another swing low, right? We created another swing low because the low of the candle to the left of it, the low of the candle to the right of it, do not eclipse the low of this candle. So now this is a broadening formation that you can probably, that would probably look a little bit better, right? Let me go ahead and exit on that. Boom. Shit, wrong thing. My bad. I thought I clicked on. There we go. All right. All right, so now we got the bottom of our broadening formation. Honestly, if I were to draw the top, it's probably going to be all the way back here, simply because of we've just been making lower highs. So drawing over here, boom, and boom, right? Yeah, we've just been continuing to make lower highs, so we're just going to continue, right? So now we have our broadening formation. We have the bottom of the range, and we also have the top. Now, as a swing trader, what you could do is wait for that swing point, that swing low, right? You get an actionable signal, but honestly, obviously, we didn't close above. We did get the trigger to the upside, but we didn't close. So it's up to you, right? Either you would have taken this trigger, you're not clicking. Come on now. You would either taken the trigger over here, right, of the inside candle and held through it because technically it did not break your stop loss of 35.56. Came down to touch it, but it didn't break your stop loss of 39.56, right? So you could have held there, or you do get a 3 candle, so you could probably take the continuation off of that, and now your stop loss would have been over here. Let's see what happens. So again, we get the trigger, right? It does trigger to the upside, right? But still not doing much, right? So now we possibly set up for a 3-2-2 rev strat back to the downside. Actually, just skip it forward, right? Now, this is the reason why stop losses are so important because, again, next candle gives you a 2 up, but it ends up exhausting and coming back into the range. However, it is still, a 2 up, right? We don't come down and take out the stop loss. So technically, by swing trading rules or your rules, you should still be in this trade, right? The next candle, we go two up, and then we just keep it moving. There we go. Next. So we go back two down. So again, about coming back to protecting your portfolio, protecting your trade. Strat wise, I'm going to give you the strat, again, the pure strat principle. Strat wise, once you get this reversal from the inside candle down to the two down, you're out of the trade. Strat wise. Me personally, as a swing trader, depending how much time I've put on it, I'm probably still in the trade because, again, my stop loss never gets touched. So let's keep it moving. Now, if it touched, boom, I'm out of the trade. It's a losing trade. It is what it is, right? So you could have gone the strat way, which is to, as soon as that reversal happens, yes, it's not a lot of profit, but you still end up probably in some profit depending on what strike you took, and you keep it moving. And again, that's the point of these exercises, right? I'm not here to show you like these amazing swing trades that go up 400, 500%. I'm really teaching about defending your portfolio. Defense wins championships, right? Because some of you would have said, okay, it's just pulling back here. Yeah, okay, it's still just pulling back, especially with the wicks from the exhaustion from the downside, right? Like, yeah, it's probably going to reverse tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day until you're completely out of it, done, right? Whereas you could have exited the trade here, right? And nobody's saying that you can't get back in. You could have taken a cheap, you could have made your little small profit there, defended your portfolio. The drop comes. What happens? This low gets broken. So now you have a new broadened formation. The next candle ends up being an actionable signal at the bottom of a broadened formation, possible reversal. So now your new stop loss, my bad. Let me move this over here so there's no confusion. Boom, and put that back there, right? So now your stop loss is here. This is your second entry on the trade. Your stop loss is here at 36.31. And I don't know, I didn't pick out a place to choose. I don't know, let's say we're just going for this high up here. I didn't really choose a target. I was just really going through the trade itself, right? So now you get that. Now we have, what is it they call it? The W, right? The little W formation. Okay, and just keep it moving, right? So now we get a two up shooter. So maybe we get a pullback. Who knows? Hasn't hit our stop loss yet. All right. So again, strat wise, right? So this is what most people do. Hold it, of course. But strat wise says once you get that 2-2 reversal, probably would have been out here, right? And again, I know that these aren't big home runs. However, they're still going to help you in your position so that you are saving yourself from the big losses. The reason why, a lot of these people blow up their portfolios is not because they have a lot of losses. It's more than likely that they are over risking what they should and then end up having big losses and then worse yet, holding on to it a little bit further, right? And even if you didn't get out there, then honestly, your next one probably would have been here to get out there. All right. But that's my point. The point is you can't have the FOMO. Um you have to be okay with the fact that, sometimes it's not always going to go your way. You don't be emotional in it. Just it is what it is. Now technically as a hit stop loss, so let's just play it out. Let's see what happens. So you still get saved. It's just honestly, these red days probably would have fucked with your mental, right? So if you would have gotten out there where I suggested, then your new entry would have been this, actually, technically there, that 2-2 reversal, right? We come down, now we've made a higher low because now we have a new swing low, but it's a higher low now, right? And you take that 2-2 reversal back into it. Or again, if you're like me, again, I probably wouldn't have exited the trade off of that. Honest, I'm keeping it a stack. I probably wouldn't have exited the trade the first time either, just keeping it honest. More than likely I would have had some time on it. But either way, the point is you could have, you had three different entries that would have eventually gotten you to your goal. The point is that you defended while you did it, right? So you still made profits, but you defended while you did it. Now, just for shits and giggles, you hit that first target. Let's see if it's gonna attack that gap, which not quite there yet. Yeah, and we gone, right? So what do we get down from 37.13? We come all the way up to 41.85. So if you were targeting the 39, probably you were looking for the 40 call. Successful trade. Two short ones that, probably sealed you, I don't know, probably like 10%, maybe 15, depending on what strikes were chosen. And then you get the one that, the bigger one. And again, I'm saying this to say, because I know not everybody's mentally used to swinging. And I get red days like this right here. Anybody like real talk, this probably would have fucked with somebody's mental. Real shit. This whole, all these red days, right? These are days now. So we're talking, day one, day two, day three, day four, day five, day six. Yeah. Shit, especially if you were still optimistic after the week and then the Monday opened up like that. Shit. Any questions at all, like about that or anything? Like, ask whatever questions you want, right? The whole point of the strat and why I'm really stressing it and teaching the foundations of it and going back to the foundations of it is because I think that foundation is going to help when it comes to the ICT. I was just talking with Sal about that over the weekend, right? ICT tells you where to look for it, but the strat, I would say, tells you, I guess, helps you with the execution of it. You know what I'm saying? Like ICT helps you to look on certain time frames, even the smaller ones, to get that precision. But then with the strat, once you know what candle to look for at the bottom of a range, if you're trying to, go bullish, or what candle to look for at the top of a range if you're trying to short, that would definitely go a long way. Um, so let's see, when do we get out of it? Still not yet. Nope, still going. So yeah, this probably would have gotten out there with that 2-2 reversal. This did give you a 2-2 reversal, but as you can see, it immediately shot back up. So I would probably wait to see like close to the day's end, and then I probably just cut it right there and then and there and be done. Now the trade could obviously still keep going, but yeah, you got in at 37. You what 40 calls what you were looking for, and so yeah, close out at like 42, 49. Take your profits, live to fight another day, and keep it moving. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. That's all I really wanted to show. Like, with the broadened formations, again, the broadened formations is what's going to tell you the range. Actually, we did make a higher high, so you can actually draw the top of your broadened formation there if you wanted. We made a higher high and then we reversed off of it, so you can draw that. Um, or just keep in mind this previous high over here. If price gets and holds above it, then that's going to be a higher high, and therefore you get a new broad information there as well too. All right, but the broad informations you kind of have to think of. Yes, they do show price expansion, and yes, it is a series of higher highs and lower lows. But I also like to look at them as support and resistance as well too, especially even if it does cross above, right? You can have a situation like this where it crosses above, but I wouldn't get rid of it because it can come back and use that as support and then just keep it moving as well too, right? So be careful with tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be the flip. Not saying it's going to go bearish, but um, they are going to try to negate what happened today, right? Now, will they be strong enough to do it? Who the fuck knows? Right now, the Bulls are out, and the Bulls are definitely out to play. So, um, let's go to another random bar. Where do we end up this time? Oh, we're up in the hundreds now. right? So yeah, just drawing, I would just say even get in the habit of practicing it, right? Just drawing, from, and again, you can have multiple broad informations. Um, you know, you just look at back. How you can tell like it's a good one is if you look backwards and you see price respecting it. So for example, over here, price uses that support, bounces off, comes down again, bounces off, bounces again, bounces again until it finally crosses below, and then use it as resistance. Again, that's what I'm saying. Don't automatically, um, erase them, once they're done, right? So we have the top part here, we have our resistance here, right? So price is having a hard time. It is making higher highs, but having a hard time getting past this broadening formation. So let's see, it either is going to come back and retest again, which it does, and then boom, you see how it comes back, right? Once it finally crosses over, once it finally crosses over, you see how it comes back to test and then possibly do that next. Either that or it's going to fall back through. And again, that's why it's important not to get rid of those broadening formations. See, fell right back through. So all it did, ICT terms, is grab swept liquidity, right? Taking out this high over here, swept liquidity, and then you have your reversal back to the downside, right? But we did make higher highs, so we can change the broad information from there to there. And now, we see it coming back in. So it's either gonna, bounce off and come back and retest again, or it's gonna come back to the end or to the other side of the broadening formation. And clearly it consolidates for a little bit on a couple of different levels, but clearly does not want to drop to touch the bottom of this broadening formation. However, it actually does make a new one here. Boom. So, and again, you have, like I said, you have multiple broadening formations on different time frames, so you can draw them, at any given time. As a matter of fact, you actually have another top of the range right there as well too. So, but yeah, that's all I really had. Tomorrow, tomorrow still looks bullish to me. Actually, let me take a look at that here. So pull back with the hammer. So yeah, tomorrow if we end up being green, so we'll look to take out those highs right there. Maybe come back to retest and then bounce. But yeah, still looking overall bullish to me. I'm not saying we're gonna run crazy or whatever, because I know Nvidia has earnings coming up as well too. So there may not be any movement up until then. But today's the 20th, tomorrow's 21st. So, maybe there's something that happens in the earlier part of the day. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get, maybe some sort of corrective activity before Nvidia earnings, because we know that, that's probably going to dictate how the rest of the week goes. Um, just keeping it a stack, Nvidia does carry that much weight. Let me see the cues real quick. Yeah, Qs still look good as well too on the weekly. Still looking strong. So yeah, um, I would say if we do get any type of negation tomorrow, it's just that. It's just a pullback. But yeah, Q still look very strong to me. Um, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think you guys should be good as far as the bullishness goes. Um, if we, if something does happen tomorrow, then just be prepared for it. But right now, things are just still looking rather bullish. I'm not even ready to say the word bear just yet. I don't think we're there yet. I do think eventually it'll happen. I'm probably anticipating, since next week is the end of the month. Um, I'm probably anticipating some sort of bearishness during that week. A lot of positions closing to end out the month, and then maybe that continues into June. But if not, if they still got the printers on, then yeah, we'll expect SPY and Qs to reach even higher. Where did this one end up at? 450 at the highs, 455. Jeez. You know what helped that though? There was a lot of articles out there. What was it? Morgan Stanley had basically given SPY an upgrade about where they expected it to be. So, and I think there was some other articles about a lot of famous short people who go short are probably thinking long right now. So that probably helped give it a little boost as well too. All right. One thing I wanted to say, keep the lookout for is Adobe. So with Adobe, all right, so a couple of things. Adobe has been flirting with this previous low. That's why I have not taken away this inflection point at 485. Ideally, what I want to see Adobe get above. I want to see Adobe get above this 485, hold above it, maybe come back to retest before ultimately, pushing higher. But as you can see, it's just been kind of magnetized to that particular range. Like if it gets too low, returns. Even over here, same thing. Return back to it. If it gets too high, return. So, I just want to see it kind of start moving away. And then also like above that is that we have a bearish order block on the week. And then also the top half of that order block is a rejection block. So that might be the reason why Adobe's struggling. But I think we can maybe attack these highs if we get the 212 reversal with an ATR of $10. We can possibly attack these highs this week, the 496, which I think like the 495 call or the 500. I haven't looked at pricing or anything like that, just to be clear. But as a matter of fact, fuck it, we could just look at it right now. Actually, I forgot I had Thinkorswim open. Adobe. May 24th, the 495s are 209, right? There's a lot of volume though at the 510s. Actually, never fuck it. I wouldn't. Nope. I would say 500 at the highest, right? Obviously, with an ATR of $10, it's very possible to hit 500 before the week is done. But yeah, I would say either the 495 at 209 or the 500 at 115. Both have pretty decent volume, pretty decent open interest, not like 10K plus, but good enough that you should still be able to exit the trade with no issues. So yeah, that's my lookout for Adobe. I haven't really looked at anything else just yet. Netflix is way up there right now, so I'm not even considering that until we get some sort of retracement because I don't want to enter at the top and get screwed. Cat, what is there to say about Cat except for we went 212 up on the 2 week. Um, Obviously the weekly just opened, but yeah, we're essentially looking to complete the TTO. Buy side liquidity is up at 382. Not sure. I mean, it looks good that we can possibly do this by the time, um, next week before next week is expired. Because we're talking at this point a $20 move with the $7 ATR. It's definitely possible to either do that this week or this week definitely heading into next. That's why I gave it 2 weeks. Um, on the daily, yeah, still looking strong. We did the TTO on the daily. Just couldn't get above this previous high, which is also, I believe, weekly entry at 363.31. So, tomorrow we're looking for that. We're looking to see if we can clear that, hold above that. And again, our next target is going to be this high at 368.17. And then also 374.46. So, is it too late to get in? No, no. I would prefer you do it on a pullback, but it's not too late to get in. Hell, we may even get the pullback tomorrow, to be honest with you, but it's not too late to get in. What I was looking for and what I was asking way too chill about was the 375s for June. So that's what I'm looking at next while this is, cooking. And it's up. 100 and I think it ended like 165%, somewhere around there. But yeah, while that's cooking, I might, not might, I'm probably looking at the 375s to enter that for June, and I'll probably alert that when that happens as well too. But yeah, so far so good. It's, in the pot doing its thing, doing a little cooking thing. And, what did we originally see ICT wise um, was looking at the rejection out of this fair value gap. It's a structure breaking fair value gap. It's a two-sided fair value gap, which is generally weaker, but I figured with the run up with all the other candles that it was going to trade back into it and probably not eclipse this previous high, which it didn't do. So yeah, we entered and yeah, we get the inside candle next, and now we got the 2-1-2 to the upside. So we're looking for the 2-2 continuation heading up. Let me see. Did we get it? I'm a beginner trader. I would like to take a hands-on stab at a trade. Where would I suggest that you start at a hands? So you want to, okay, I get it. You want to not try to be funny, but essentially learn the hard way. Because, I know a lot of people paper trade and it doesn't work for them. First thing first is to learn a strategy before you enter any trade. In my opinion, I'm not trying to dissuade you from trading, right? Because that would be hypocritical. Because I did start trading without actually fully investing into a strategy. And yeah, I made money off of call outs, but it wasn't really me trading. It was others trading for me, and I was just following what they said. So, TN, you could DM me if you want. I do have videos on the strap, but I also, what I've been thinking about doing is kind of opening up one-on-ones to kind of giving a little bit more of a personal touch to it. I haven't really confirmed that yet, but I'm more and more siding towards just doing that instead of doing it in a classroom format because I really want people to get that foundation. But I would say learn a strategy first, right? And then crawl before you run, crawl before you walk, and before you run. And what I mean by that is maybe pick out some tickers that aren't volatile. I think what a lot of the beginner traders do is they go after the tickers that are volatile, they move fast, they move heavy because they have that big reward, and you want to see that instant gratification. You want to see, that money stacking up. But slow and steady wins the race, right? Slow and steady wins the race. What you're looking for is that consistency. So I could definitely send some small account tickers your way. And more so not because your account may be small, but just because it helps you to read price action a lot better when things aren't moving as fast or crazy. But yeah, if strat ain't the thing that you're looking to learn, there's also ICT. I know Phil used EMAs, etc. So it depends on what you're trying to learn, to be honest with you. Whatever it is, if it's strat, holla at me and Biker. Biker used fibs as well too. I do know ICT, not ready to fully teach it yet, but I'm learning every single day, so I do kind of talk about it. But yeah, just it depends. Whatever you're trying to learn, let us know, and we definitely gonna connect you with somebody who can teach it to you to make you a better trader. But I would say check out. As a matter of fact, I'm glad that you talked about that. So one of the things that help with finding trade. Let me actually. Was somebody trying to say something?
I was gonna say the Mini Cooper list would be a good start for the ticker wise.
We actually don't have access to that anymore. That belonged to Rose.
Really?
Yeah,
Where has Rose been? Did she like move or something?
Rose is no longer with us, and that's all I'm gonna say.
So he left. I think
It's not some
I
hush hush
still
shit,
have that.
but I'm not one to do the back and forth, the rah rah. Just simple, plain and
Yeah, you
simple.
just say
Rose is no
less.
longer with us. Yeah, but
Gotcha.
there are I know Sal has he hasn't named it, but we all collectively know some small account tickers. So for example, I have to listen. All right, Cass. Yeah, if you want to hook us up, then send it out. Just don't call it the Mini Cooper list. I don't want to. I don't want any drama.
You bring.
Yeah, I just
I
don't want.
follow you.
Right, I don't want any of that shit later. I don't want to hear any of the inevitable people who will go back to her and be like, hey, they're using your. Nope, we're not. Just We're using
Yeah.
tickers that happen to be on your list. So yeah, we're just gonna leave it at that. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, Jets. One of the reasons why I like Jets so much is because there are a lot of small account ticker friendly, small account friendly tickers inside of it. AAL, and I know these are like again small account ticker, but they do fucking damage. I kid you not. Till this day, to this day, my best trades involves CCL and American Airlines, Carnival Cruise Lines and American Airlines, like real shit, right? So please don't think that just because they don't move as fast as Nvidia does, don't think that they can't do just as much damage, especially when you stack up multiple cons on it, right? So what was I seeing on Jets? This may not be an immediate move, but I think like a swing trader. So I know that sometimes things take time to set up. But if I'm looking at the weekly, that's my top of the range right there for the broadening formation. On the downside, that's the bottom of my range right there. So we've exhausted thus far off of the top of the broadening formation, right? We also are currently inside, but obviously that's the first day. Now let's zoom in on what's happening on the daily. On the daily, what did we get? We hit the top of the range, we exhausted, and we got a 2-2 reversal. Technically, if you wanted to off the daily, you could have taken this entry if you wanted to, right? That 2-2 reversal, right? What helps me a little bit more is the fact that I'm seeing that price did try twice to try to, push back up, couldn't really do it, right? So now we end up with an actionable signal on the inside candle, but then we go 2 down, right? So now this 2 down is either going to turn into a 1-2-2 rev strat, because again, we gotta take everything into consideration. Since this swing low, we have been making higher lows, right? So we are still technically in an uptrend, but what we could be seeing is the beginning of the reversal back to the downside, which is the reason why I'm pointing this out. So we go 2-1-2. And so for me, I'm looking to see what happens tomorrow. Are we going to trigger to the downside here and keep it moving? In which case, probably going to target this low down here at 2040. Oh, my bad. My bad. I'm hitting. Oh, hold up. Can I get the gas? Yeah. Shared. All right, cool. Right. So either we're going to get that or we're going to get a 1-2-2 rev strat, in which case you're targeting probably up back up here again at 2138. Do you see how quickly I just established the range to let us know where we're at? And then I have a game plan for both sides. So if we trigger to the upside, what am I doing? Where am I targeting? Up here. Or if you wanted to keep it like short and just target there, that's fine too. The 2116. The point is, you trigger, you're probably taking the 21 call. If it goes to the downside, which honestly has the better risk to reward because you got so much room to the downside, right? If it triggers to the downside, then you're probably taking that 20 put, right? And just making sure it hits the targets along the way. And if it goes even further down to 19, even better, right? Now we're looking at that. I'm also looking at, again, the 270 and just seeing we haven't been able to break this low yet, but if we do, if we can, it's probably over, right? The point is that keep this one on your radar because you may have airlines. I think they've been on a pretty decent run, but you may get airlines that might show you a reversal, right? We know we're at the top of the range. It's not immediate yet, but we know we're at the top of the range. What's more than likely going to happen is that you're probably going to get price after the first rejection. It's probably going to try to come back ideally and retest, right? And if that fails, then continue to head straight down. This push up is going to be the manipulation. That run up is what's going to trap the bulls, right? Assuming that's the way it works out, right? This is going to be your manipulation only for it to drop back to the downside. I wish this was a bar replay type of thing so we can kind of see how it plays out, but we'll see what happens. But either way, you can look at then AAL, right, and kind of see, um, yeah, I was definitely wrong on that trade. I like leaving my shit up to tell me where I'm wrong so I can look at it. All right, so what can happen again when you look at AEL is, are we also kind of at the top of the range as well too? AL looks a little bit weaker to me than Jets simply because of what we've been seeing over here, right? So we exhausted not once, but twice and three times. So if you pay attention, let's see, this is probably an ICT concept. I have a tendency to like mix them, I would say, kind of perfectly together. So body closes, excuse me, body opens here, right? We try to come back to test, don't even get close to the open of that previous high. Then over here, kind of the same thing. We try to come back and test, right? We're hitting these, we're hitting these rejections, right? So seeing that, and we got the 2-2 reversal, tells me that we may just come back down to revisit. Let me get rid of it. We may just come back down to revisit the lows. The only thing that's bullish right now is going to be the month, and the month is currently inside. But more importantly, if you're looking at the month, what are we doing? We're making lower highs. Excuse me. If we look at the month, right, and then there's our broad information on the downside there. There it is on the upside there, right? So we can we could, it looks like potentially we could come back and retrace, or if it stays inside, we get that 2-1-2 reversal to the upside. But for right now, that's how it's looking, right? So you want to have essentially your head on a swivel because again, you're seeing this kind of exhaustion here, right? You get the big run back, the rundown over here, right? The sell off over here, right? And all price is doing is probably trading back up into, that's ICT shit. It's trading back up into the highs, but again, it's still making lower highs. So it's just making that high potentially to then drop lower to take out lows over here, right? Kind of seeing what's happening, make a high here, come down, right? Make a high here. And then once we break this low, since that point, we've just been making lower highs. Higher highs over here, and then lower highs over here. So with AAL, this is definitely something that I would keep on your radar. I'm not saying take puts tomorrow or anything like that, but if you start to see the market, starting to show signs of weakness, then yeah, for small account friendly tickers, AAL might be something that you want to go ahead and take a look at because it's hit the top, it's coming back down. So I would wait since it's already started, it already did its drop, right? So it might just be trading back into a level of support and then bouncing back up, but definitely something that I'll keep on the radar. That DAL is another one as well too. Yeah, DAL seems to be pushing up against a little bit of resistance as well too on the daily. We'll see what happens, but yeah. But these are definitely setups and puts that you could probably take with like a couple months out and then just give it, obviously given it that time. This one I probably wouldn't take because obviously full time frame continuity is against you. So it might just continue up a little bit higher before eventually reversing, but definitely something that you should keep on your radar for puts. All right. With that being said, I wanted to keep it short, brief. We did start at 8:30. We're going to end at 9:30. If there's no questions, then I'll just finish the recording, let it convert, and then post it. I will continue more on some strat concepts and looking for strat scenarios as well too, like 2-1-2s, inside rev strats, 3-2-2 rev strats, pivot machine guns, what they look like, etc., and what to look for. And then we'll kind of put it all together, like charting out the trade, looking for the setup. We'll do bar replay so we can see how the trade works out, and make sure that we understand why we did what we did, what we're looking for, etc. All right. Of course, Monique. All right. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all in the group tomorrow. Tomorrow should not be as crazy at work, so I'll probably be in the group a little bit. No shit, I have those interviews. All right, after no shit. somewhere before 2. I'll probably hit you. Somewhere before 2, I'll probably hit y'all up and just make sure everybody good, check in with the beginners and everything like that. Please don't be afraid to ask your questions though, beginners, anybody that's a beginner that's listening. TN, good question today, but please don't be afraid to ask in the channel. I promise we will not ridicule you. It's going to be a safe space. All right. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all have a good night. Again, we'll continue this more over the weekend where we have a little bit more time. The Wednesday Zoom session will probably look for some lotto swings that we can get into on Wednesday, or excuse me, on Thursday heading into Friday. All right, y'all. Good night.